Coin toss?
On a coin toss, barely across the line in front of Bernie Sanders. I think that race is headed for the long haul. Bernie Sanders is likely to win New Hampshire overwhelmingly, and then Hillary Clinton is likely to win South Carolina. So really, it's going to be 1-1 and 1 because if you count Iowa, it's basically a tie. So it's a dogfight.
What about the superdelegates? She's got like 300, and he has 4.
Yes, that actually is interesting because that happened in 2008. She had this overwhelming lead among superdelegates, but as soon as Barack Obama started winning and then demonstrating that he could win and he could be there, the superdelegates went first to undecided, and then they went to him to coalesce around him. I don't think that's going to happen for Bernie Sanders. It's possible. I think still Hillary Clinton is favored to pull this out. But it is an amazing thing that for a guy who's a 74-year-old Democratic Socialist from Vermont who was 40 points behind, basically tied Hillary Clinton in Iowa.
Shows a lot of things. And Matthew Dowd, you're smart enough to sort of understand my next question, whereas other political commentators are not. What does it say that Bernie Sanders and Ted Cruz are on opposite ends of the spectrum, and yet their number one issue is they're both against free trade?
It's a fascinating thing because they're not only both against free trade, but they're both lambasting the establishment of their own party and the establishment in Washington, D.C. I think there is a sense among groups in America that they've been left behind. The working class in different ways have been left behind for different reasons. Bernie Sanders appeals in many ways to one part of that, and Ted Cruz appeals to the other side of that. And so I think that it's a sign that there's been an earthquake among the status quo, and Bernie Sanders and Ted Cruz right now are taking advantage of it. How long they can, I think, is a questionable thing.
Yeah. The Republican side, the way I see it, it depends who drops out and when and where that support goes to determine the ultimate winner.
I agree with that, and how soon that happens. So I think right now in New Hampshire, Donald Trump is odds-on to win. He has to win New Hampshire. Otherwise, it's, the Broadway show had 2 opening nights and is over, and they have to move on. I think Marco Rubio has to finish second to show that he can keep the momentum going. But Jeb Bush, Chris Christie, and John Kasich have an opportunity, though it's small, to sort of bump up and try to finish second and keep going. But I think after New Hampshire, this race becomes a 3-person race.
Trump, Cruz, and a third person.
Trump, Cruz, and likely Rubio. But if Rubio finishes behind a Jeb Bush or Chris Christie or John Kasich, then it's that person. So it's a 3-person race.
Right.
Going forward.
So if Christie and Kasich and Bush drop out, that helps Rubio. But
that's a tremendous lift for Rubio going into South Carolina. Then if Donald Trump's won New Hampshire, he's regained his footing, and it's a 3-way race in South Carolina between Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, and Marco Rubio if that happens.
Right. And if Ben Carson drops out, who does that help? Does that help?
I think his vote probably splits between Donald Trump and Ted Cruz. I think there's a lot of animosity between the two camps of Carson and Ted Cruz, though there's some evangelicals that'll go to Ted Cruz. I think it splits between the two of them.
What do you make of this dirty trick that Ted Cruz's campaign played on Ben Carson?
Well, unfortunately, it feels like politics as usual, and Ted Cruz and his folks have said they're going to be against politics as usual. I've been through this in a lot of campaigns. It's a war. People take advantage of everything they can. I don't think it's a good thing. I agree with Ben Carson on this. This is not how we should be conducting politics. But it seems to be what they do in this day and age, and I think Ted Cruz and his campaign should have been called out for it.
It's diabolically brilliant. Right? I mean, it's a brilliant move. It's dirty pool, but it's brilliant in a
it's Machiavellian. It's Machiavellian brilliant.
Right.
You're right. It's Machiavellian brilliant. Though I don't think it infuses integrity in our system.
I think that left a long time ago. Matthew Dowd, ABC News political analyst. Thank you. Great analysis as always. Have a good day.
Thanks. You too.
You got it. 7:09 here. Big 550.